Today I'm answering Reddit's makeup questions. I don't know why I started it like that. I was watching like one of those GQ things. So this has been on my mind. Plus I haven't done it in a minute. So I figured I would answer some randomly selected questions that people put on our makeup on Reddit. Okay? Ready? Some of these are so perfect. Okay. So the first one says, I need some help with how to handle pigmented as hell blushes. I have a gradient one from Moira, and literally one dip in and went straight into clown territory. Okay, so I don't even need to like read the rest of this. This person basically is saying that like even the lightest shade is like the lightest shade they can get away with, but it's still like really, really dark, blah, blah, blah. I actually just met somebody at a work event, and she was saying like this, she was saying exactly this. She was like, I want to be able to wear these tones. And it was kind of like it was like a slightly like berry, but like maybe a little more, it had like a little bit of like terracotta in it. It was almost like a chocolatey berry. That's the only way I know how to describe it. She was like, I want to wear these tones, but she was like super pale like me. And I was like, I have a tip for you. So I have talked about this on my channel before, but one of my favorite tips, especially for people like me who are white, as pale as a ghost, there are a lot of blushes that are gonna end up being like really, really saturated on you. The best thing to do is just mix a little bit of your foundation in with it. Just mix a little bit of foundation in with it, okay? You can still like, yes, it's bringing the pigment down a little bit. It might be bringing like, the overall color is gonna be like slightly different because you're adding like white to it essentially, but it's going to, even just mixing like a teeny bit of your foundation in is going to make it work for your skin. So give that a shot. That's such a good tip that like a lot of people don't think about. It's just like mixing things to make them work for you. This is so good. Okay. I have a pixie short, super blonde hair, and I'm doing a terrible job at blending my hairline. It picks up the skin tint and blush color, so I end up with pink edges. Typically, I use a sponge blender, sometimes brush, less frequently fingers, and I have the same problem with all. What am I doing wrong? I've got a fix for you. So one of the reasons that I launched my brush with Refer, this is the 38 brush, that like most of you probably know about. If you don't, then I recently launched, it doesn't matter. I don't need to get into the whole story, but this is a brush that I have with Refer. Anyway, the reason that I designed it this way, you can see, is it comes up to a point at the tip, okay? Now I use this is a multi-purpose brush. You're essentially supposed to be able to use it for like whatever you want. I use it for blush, bronzer, and contour. Sometimes I use it for foundation and concealer. But that is why I designed it with this little like point, is mostly for like that precision. So initially it was in mind for things like contour so that you can like really sculpt the cheekbone. But bro, it does the most amazing job at applying your foundation and blending it around the hairline because, again, if you're new, I was platinum blonde for like 7 years. And that was such a problem for me, was getting makeup in my hair. Because if you think about like your typical contour brush or bronzer brush or powder brush, or even your foundation brush, like I don't have any of them here because this has pretty much replaced everything. But you know, a typical powder brush might be like really large. And if you're using something this big to apply your bronzer around your hairline, it's gonna get in your hair, you know? So that would be my little tip. You can also like, what are some other like tips? You can also like put like a paper towel or something against your hairline while you're blending, you know, like line it up like right here and then blend so that you're keeping it out of your hair. But like, that's so annoying. So like, it's an option. It's an option if you don't want to feel like I'm selling you my brush, but my brush is better. This is a good one. This person said, what is your makeup / skincare sins? Sin or sins. And they said, I don't reapply my sunscreen at all caps. I just physically and mentally can't at all. I also sometimes just use BB cream for SPF and makeup, no sunscreen layering. I love this confession. I actually posted a TikTok about this like not that long ago because it's something that I've been thinking about for a long time. Basically, like I didn't start getting shit on for wearing sunscreen wrong until I started wearing sunscreen, you know, and it made me really like if you're a person who struggles with like all or nothing, it makes you not want to wear it. Like it literally just makes you like feel like, oh, I'm doing everything wrong. So like, why even bother kind of thing. And my TikTok was basically about like, just relax. It's going to be okay. We have a lot more information that's like available to us due to like dermatologists being on social media and such. So like there was a period, I feel like it was mostly during the pandemic, at least that's when it happened for me, where people were like learning about skincare finally. We were learning about like what ingredients, like maybe don't use your like benzoyl peroxide before applying tretinoin and things like that, like we were really learning about those things. And we were hearing from dermatologists about like the importance of wearing sunscreen daily and how you have to reapply. And best practices, typically your sunscreen is going to say reapply every 2 hours. But in our day-to-day lives, it's just not super realistic, My example was going to like a friend's wedding. Like, I always think like I've applied my sunscreen, you let it set for 15 minutes, and then you start doing your makeup. And like sometimes it takes me 2 hours to do my makeup. And I'm like, okay, well now what? Like, what do I do now? And basically, you just have to like accept that there are going to be those days, and that like if you're applying it once, then like you're doing a hell of a lot more than we've been doing in the past. Okay? So like you have to be a little bit more easy on yourself. So I love that this person was like, this is my sin. Like I don't reapply. And it's funny because like they say they're not reapplying. They are applying, So if you are applying once, you're still doing way more than most people. So just like ease up on yourself a little bit. There aren't going to be easy times all the time to be able to reapply your sunscreen as much as you're supposed to, okay? But we're also not supposed to really like drink alcohol. Like alcohol does shitty things to us and causes inflammation and such. So it's just like, we gotta balance, right? Balance. Can you tell I've been in therapy for a while? Balance. This person says, best cool toned contour, ? I'm looking for your favorite cool toned contours. I'm pale and have cool undertones. I have yet to find a good actual cool toned contour that they always look orange on me. Okay. So again, if you follow my channel, you're gonna know what my recommendations are. But my most recent favorite, which has actually replaced the second one that I'll talk about, is the CoverGirl True Blend Skin Enhancer in Defined. I'm obsessed with this contour. It is perfection if you are a pale, warm olive undertone, because it has so much green in it. It's so fantastic. It really is going to depend on like your undertone and like how colors work on you. But like if it ends up looking really orange, this might actually work. It might just end up looking a little too ashy if you have more like pink in your skin and whatever. But if you're like me and you're warm, it's perfect. It's so perfect. It's like the most perfect contour color I've ever used ever in my entire life. And the best thing about it is that it's not so overly saturated. I mean, like it's pigmented, like it really gets it done, but it's easy to blend. It's not like so dark. I feel like a lot of contours, even for pale skin, are really dark, and it can be like really difficult. Once again, you can use my little blush, that little trick that I mentioned earlier of like mixing in a little bit of your foundation, but it's annoying to have to mix everything all the time, right? So this is fantastic, depending on your undertone. They just said cool, and like olive skin can be cool. So if you're olive, this would be my recommendation. However, now the only downside to this is that it is incredibly pigmented. And this is for fair to light skin. I don't know. This is the contour stick from Sephora. Like I said, in fair light. This is what I was using before. I'll show you the difference. Okay, so it's darker. And it is cool toned, but you can see that there's more of like a purpley tone to it, hopefully. Like you can definitely see that green. In the CoverGirl, you can see that green. You see that difference? But this is incredibly cool toned. So if you're looking for a cool toned contour, this is a really great option. Just be very careful if you have very pale skin. It's pigmented, all right? It's real pigmented, so a little bit goes a very long way. Very long way. I'm trying to think if this is my original one or if I've purchased one again. I think I did. I think I purchased another one, and I think it was just because my first one got really gross. And I was like, ugh, I'll get a new one. But they last forever. Hi, everyone. I'm having a very difficult time with cream blushes. When I try to apply them over my foundation, they kind of just pull the foundation off or they make my foundation look patchy. No matter what type of foundation I use, I've tried low coverage liquid skin tints, full matte coverage traditional foundation, and always end up with the same result. I always use a primer before application. The products I use are Moira? Again, I don't know this brand. What the hell? Love Heat Cream Blush, ColourPop Pretty Fresh Foundation, Terra Stroma Liquid Veil Tinted Skin Elixir, the Morphe Hint Tint Skin Tint, and the NYX Marshmallow Primer. Love that primer. I have naturally oily skin. If that matters or makes a difference, please someone tell me what I'm doing wrong, or cream blush is just not for me. So you're gonna want to look at first. You're gonna want to look at, are you using an oil-based product over water-based, or vice versa? Sometimes that can be the problem. Like typically you can get away with using oil-based products on top of water-based products, but if you're using a water-based product on top of an oil-based product, that can end up causing like a lot of problems. It could also be the way that I don't have enough information. It could be the way that you're applying it. It could be, are you using a sponge? Are you using a brush? Is it simply that this is funny, I literally just filmed a video today about how to attack that like one patch that doesn't take makeup. You know, when that, I'm sure that this has happened to some of you because I've gotten lots of comments from people talking about it, is why I made the video. But there's like that one patch where like you're blending and it just won't take the makeup. So I literally just filmed a video about that. If it's up, I'll pop it up here. But yeah, it has, so that'll be helpful if you are someone watching this and you resonate and you need that advice. But you definitely want to look at like how those products are interacting. I don't know these products though. Did you guys ever watch Guts as a kid? Mo, remember? Did you guys ever watch Guts? All right, moving on. I don't have an ingredients list. They don't list an ingredients list, which is very annoying. But that would be the first thing that I would say, is check the ingredients if that's the problem. It could also be the fact that like maybe you're applying it too heavily. Maybe if it's a sponge, maybe you're being too harsh with the way that you're blending. You can use like gentle dabs. Remember, like this is blending. You do not need to use a harsh hand. If you're using a brush, are you holding it like up here to blend, or are you holding it back and bouncing? That's another thing to keep in mind. But I would recommend that video that I just filmed if anyone is dealing with that kind of thing. Okay, creasing. Hello, I get wrinkle creases around my mouth. It makes me look like Homer Simpson. I've tried different primers, foundations, powders, and setting sprays. It's gotta be something I'm doing technique-wise. Any advice? So, if you get creasing in that area, it could be a couple things. You always gotta go back to your skincare. So you wanna see, is your skin too dry? Is your skin too oily? And then address whatever that concern might be with your skincare first, because it has such a heavy impact on the way that your makeup lays, okay? The second would be, you always want to be using less coverage in those areas. Anywhere where you're going to get creasing, you want to use less coverage. One of my favorite tricks is Vincent Ford's trick of like applying your concealer or your foundation or whatever it might be in the area where you crease, and then kind of like move your face. He typically does it for like under eyes. But like you want to move your face because your face is going to move unless you are like all Botoxed up, okay? Your face is going to move. You got expressions. And then what you can do is take like you can even use like a tiny little clean brush, like a clean, this guy. This is the Refer 23 brush. This is basically like the same as this, or like a pointed Q-tip, and just remove the tiniest, like whatever is gathered in that area, just remove it. Okay, just take it out. All right. Then you can kind of let it sit for a minute to see if any other stuff moves around and gathers. Before you set, go in and blend with your finger, blend it out, and then go in and set. Okay, so you're removing where that product tends to build up, so it will prevent that. The only downside is that if you have an area, like if you do this in an area where you need a lot of coverage, you're kind of removing some of the coverage. So if you have like, for whatever reason, a spot or something around your smile line that you are trying to cover up, then you kind of have to like treat that separately. Like maybe you have a breakout or whatever it might, or a pigmented area. That's the only that's the only thing that might get like a little bit tricky to deal with. And there are little tricks that you can do with that little area, but for typical like you know, foundation or whatever gathering in smile lines or maybe in your forehead lines, Vincent Ford's trick is so good. And then you can also implement things like they mentioned that they use setting sprays, but once you've done that, if you want to kind of like blend out and then go in with like a little blending, like I love Nikki's concealer brush. This is the N16 brush. I love this. Her brush with BK Beauty. Spray a little bit of maybe like a matte setting spray if your skin is oily on it, and then just pat over that area before going in and setting with powder. You know, setting sprays are so helpful and there's so many different kinds. So you just want to like make sure that you're using one that is right for your skin. If you're using it in an area where you tend to get like really oily, you definitely don't want to be using like something really, really wet. Like MAC Fix Plus can be like really, really wet. Remember the days of like the Tatcha Dewy skin mist? Like you don't want to use that. You're not trying to use that in your T-zone if you're really oily, okay? This person deals with foundation separating on their chin. Hi guys, I seem to have, sorry, this text is like so small right now. I seem to have a problem with foundation, BB cream, concealer flaking or breaking on my chin. I usually have breakouts in this area during my period and use salicylic acid and retinol 0.05 every other day. I have this issue no matter if I use primer or not. I use SPF from Beauty of Chosun daily. Good select. I tried with Estee Lauder, L'Oreal Accord Parfait, Misha BB cream. Love Misha BB cream. House Labs, You Are Forever, NYX Bare, blah, 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 blah. Lots of products. Yet each time, after 3 or 4 hours, foundation separates and looks horrible. Do you have any hints on how I could correct this? So my first thought is the Beauty of Chosun, if they're using the one that I'm thinking of, sunscreen, might be a little too moisturizing for your skin. And also the fact that you get breakouts around your chin and you're using salicylic acid and retinol every other day. I don't know. This is something to consider. I was dehydrating my skin for so many years because I was trying to combat breakouts, and I had no idea that I was overdoing it because my skin had changed. Like I had all these breakouts and I went on tretinoin and I was on benzoyl peroxide, and I wasn't paying attention to the fact that my skin, because like I'm a woman and like hormones and shit changes throughout the years, and I was still attacking every breakout with like a lot of the acne medications, and I just didn't need that anymore. So something to consider would be, are you stripping your skin? Like maybe you're going in a little too heavily with the acne product. Maybe you can tone it down a little bit. Maybe you can reduce to using like an AHA or something, like something a little bit more like surface level, that's going to remove, you know, like the top layer of the skin to make things like nice and smooth. Because it sounds like to me that there's probably like oil coming through that's like breaking it up, or the skin is super dehydrated and I don't have enough information because they didn't say whether or not it looks oily, the breakage looks oily, or if it looks dry, or your skin is so dehydrated that it's drying out, that having that much product in that area is drying out throughout the day. So those are a couple things to think of. I also just filmed a video about water-based makeup that is much more like lightweight and breathable on skin that's acne prone, which I'll put up here, which can be really, really helpful. It's been really helpful for me recently, especially if I feel like especially like around like the week before my period or whatever, when my skin is getting ready to like break out a lot. If I just focus more so on like water-based products, I don't end up with like heavier breakouts throughout the day, you know? So check that out if you feel like that is something that you deal with. How do you keep eyeliner from smudging when you curl your lashes? I've used makeup primer, but that hasn't helped. This is something that I struggle with too. And the main reason is that like when I go to curl my lashes, I get it so close to the base of my lashes that it's touching the skin of my eyelid. You don't really need to do that. Like if you have that problem, then you can kind of like put your lash curler in there, right? To like where you usually do. And then just gently start to bring it down. And if you can feel it that it's touching your eyelid a little bit, just open it up and pull it out slightly, okay? You really don't need it to be perfectly straight from like the base of your lashes. In fact, that can lead to like pulling lashes out or clipping them accidentally or something. So that's something that you want to keep in mind. You also like really want to make sure that you're getting lash curler that actually fits your eye shape, because if it doesn't, it can lead to more of those problems. The first iteration of the rougher lash curler is my favorite because it's nice and open. It's like much more flat. I feel like I can get close enough to my eye and actually like curl my lashes. Most lash curlers are too curved and I feel like I can't get in there. And they'll pinch like my inner corner or whatever. So make sure that your lash curler is one that actually fits your eye shape, dude. That's a big thing. Okay, how do you blend contour? I'm new to makeup and I just got a double-sided contour stick, Wet n Wild, to try out contouring. I've seen all these tips on how to apply, where to place the lines or whatever, but how do you blend it? In the videos, it always skips that part. Personally, I like brushes better. I'm not exactly sure how to use the sponge things. But if the sponges are better, I'll try that. Do you use one tool, blah, 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 highlight, blah, 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 blah. Through on my face with a sponge. Blush seems to get everywhere. Okay. So I hate to go back to my brush, but I'm gonna. The first thing for me would be using the proper sized brush, which is again why I designed this brush. At the time, I wanted smaller face brushes and there just like weren't any. I specifically like had contour in mind with this brush when I first designed it. And it's obviously you can see that like it's not like a teeny tiny brush, but it's also like more precise than your typical brushes for the face. So when you are applying, and you can just like draw a line on your face, you can absolutely do that. But a smaller brush is going to give you a lot more precision. It's going to help you keep the product in the area where you place it. The one thing I would say is that if you are just drawing it on your face, you want to be careful with the amount that you're drawing on your face, because it's a lot easier to apply way too much when you're just like drawing it straight onto your face. And that in and of itself can make blending really difficult, because if you have too much product, you're gonna feel like, oh, I have to keep blending this, which can end up sort of like spreading it around the face into areas that you don't want without you even really trying to. So another tip would be pick up the product using the brush directly from the product. Okay, so grab your brush, and where'd my contour go that I was just talking about? Like this. A little bit like this. Okay, and then little bits, just little bits. That makes blending so much easier, you know? When you just do little bits. Little bits, just little bits. So that is my top recommendation. It sounds to me like this person, obviously they said they're a beginner, is watching like TikTok videos or something. And like they said, people are never showing them when they blend it out. So if you know someone who's a makeup beginner, you're gonna want to like send them good tutorials, because so many people are getting their like beauty content from short form, and it's just like, it's short form, right? So like you're not getting all of the information, and it's so much more important to have all of the information. And unfortunately, and I know our attention spans are like this now, but you can't put all the information in like 5 seconds. You can't do it. You can't do it. So the goldfish brain thing that we got to work on a little bit, because like otherwise we're not going to be taking in the info and we're not going to learn how to do it. Eyeshadow is eyeliner. I'm in my 50s and I have never mastered an eyeliner pencil. I prefer to use eyeshadow with a very thin brush. I like the soft, subtle look of it. Same, dude. Anytime I use a pencil or pen, I end up with a harsh, too dark, inconsistent line. The issue with my technique is that I end up with tiny flakes of shadow on my upper cheeks. Does anyone else use shadows in this manner? And do you have any tips for for preventing the flaking? Yeah, dude, do your eyes first. There's also these things called shadow shields that are like, you can get them on Amazon or whatever. They're like little stickers, but I don't like that, because like I've seen people use them when like they already have their base makeup on, and I'm like, but then you're putting something that's like sticky underneath your eye, and then when you take it off, it's gonna fuck up your concealer or your foundation. I don't like it. So I personally wouldn't recommend it. You can also just like hold, this is a very dirty paper towel, but you can hold like a tissue or a paper towel or something. Let me take a piece. Like this when you do it, but like that can also be really annoying to like have to do that because like, I don't know about you, but when I'm doing my eyeliner, I need this hand free to be able to like balance while I do it, you know? So just do your eyes first. Or you could be like me and do it anyway and then like try to rub it off and then like have to go in with like a Q-tip and a little micellar water and like remove it and then like have to go in with like a little bit of your concealer with color corrector and then like a tiny bit of blush because like all this whole area has been blended with like a bunch of different products and then you have to set that and it's like a whole thing. You've seen me do that. If you are not new to this channel, you have absolutely seen me do that in videos. So you can do that. Or you can make it easy for yourself and just do your eyes first. Lol. Oh, this is actually a really nice conversation. I remember I took a screenshot of this. Okay, we'll finish with this. Do you feel like you're getting judged for loving makeup and girly stuff? And I read that and I was like, interest peaked. This person said, always, mostly from my family members because they say I'm not a little girl. What? The next person said, I feel like it varies by where I am and who I'm around. Some folks will act. I love when people call people folks. I love that. Some folks will act like I'm dressing up if I put any effort at all into my appearance, or like it's trying too hard. I'm over the too cool to try attitude. It's the same way I feel about personal style. The way I style my outfits is an extension of my artist's practice, another form of creativity. Okay, I like that. This person, whose username is Bowling for Chilies, said, I used to feel this way, but I'm 33 now and I just got over it. I was a tomboy growing up, got called lesy by my family because they assumed I was a lesbian since I didn't want to wear girly stuff. Today, pink is my favorite color. I do my skincare daily. I wear makeup and glitter and earrings and perfume, and I love it. Okay, so one of the reasons that this piqued my interest was because I feel like this is something that a lot of people deal with when they are first interested in makeup. And as someone who grew up in like a small town in a rural area, when I did start wearing makeup, and I'm talking like wearing makeup, okay? Maybe it's a little bit different now with like social media, just because we have a little bit more access to it. I feel like it's become slightly more normalized with younger people or whatever, like wearing makeup. But when I first started wearing makeup out, I was like goth glam, black lipstick, okay? Smoky eye, going to the post office. And I always use that as an example because I specifically remember this one time where I did my makeup and I had to go to the post office. And when I was leaving the house, my mom was like, I was like, what do you think? And she was like, I mean, you look like a vampire. I was like, fuck yeah, I do. And I do remember like going to the grocery store and like being stared at and like by like older people who were just like, the fuck is this vampire doing here? You know what I mean? One of the best things about moving to Los Angeles was that I can roll out of bed and be in sweats and not worry about it. Or I can be dressed the fuck up with like crazy makeup and jewels all over my face. And like no one really is like worried about it. Like no one is like judging you here. You know what I mean? And I think that this like fear of judgment is something that really prevents people from like experimenting and playing around with makeup and makeup as, like this person, one of these people commented, self-expression. I think that's a shame. I think that's a damn shame. But I have felt it and I know how difficult that can be. And I just wanted to give you like a little push. Just a little push. If you are a beginner and you happen upon this video and you want to play and you want to express, like today I just was like, oh, I don't know, I want to do like a kind of a little liner thing. And I just like drew some red stuff on my eyes. You know what I mean? Like this kind of thing is so much fun. Start small. Start small. Be expressive. Like if you feel like putting a triangle on your temple, please do it. Just do it. And at some point, someone is going to be like, oh my God, I love that little triangle. What did you use? Oh my God, I love Danessa Myricks too. And you guys are gonna bond and it's gonna be great. And maybe you'll make a new friend, or maybe it'll just like give you a little bit of an ego boost and remind you that like, you can keep wearing makeup. In terms of like getting negative comments from people, the more and more that I have been in therapy, the more and more it has become more glaringly obvious how damaged people are and what they say about other people. What a person says about other people, what a person says to you, the way that they treat you. I'm sure that you've heard this. This is something that people have said. It says so much more about them than it does about you. So that's just like such an important reminder. And I wish that was something that I had in my head, or like had heard a stupid person on social media tell me when I was a kid. And even if you're not a kid, even if you're like in your 70s and all your whole life you've been wanting to play with makeup and you're a beginner now, like just do it. Just play around and fuck what other people say, because you only have one life. You literally only have one life. So like you better live it. And what's the point of like not doing something that you love just because some rando or even your like uncle made a comment about how like you look like a vampire when you wear makeup? I don't know. You know what I mean? Not that never happened with my uncle. Just an example. Okay. I really liked that little thread, and I appreciated that people were sharing their stories and they could commiserate a little bit and even kind of like inspire, you know? I've already got the remote, sorry. I have to go because I'm waiting for a plumber to come and fix my sink. So I love you. Maybe we can do a video where I answer specifically your questions, like your questions that you feel like I haven't addressed or something in videos recently. That'd be fun. Until then, bye.